if you're just trying to, make sure that you have a ratio that where you've got, this amazing cap ratio, and you're just focusing on that, but you're not looking at the fundamentals. Because what's interesting now, and especially a state like Texas has high property tax values. I mean, 2.25%, 2.5%. I mean, when Karen and I were living in LA, that's one of the advantages was, it's 1.25%, right? Now you got to pay like $2 million for, a 2,000 square foot home, but
you pick your poison, man.
You pick your poison. But now, instead of, so earlier this year, we were talking about this. So earlier this year, homes were going for 10 to 20% over list.
Yes.
Right? So, okay, yeah, people, they chased that brass ring and paid, much more than what the home would be worth if interest rates were in 5 to 6%.
Correct.
So the reason why they were, home prices were so high is because there was so much demand when rates were at 2 and 3%.
Correct.
So when you buy that property over that amount, you're locking in your property taxes, right? So you have now locked in your property taxes, which also affects your monthly payment.
Thank you.
So if you're able to now buy that home at a fair value, even though you might be paying 5 or 6% interest rate, you now acquire it at a fair value, lock in that property value at a lower rate, and now you actually have a little bit more leverage, right? Because now it's becoming more of a buyer's market. We're still a seller's market. There's not enough inventory that for people to buy. But
even with the new building and new construction that's going on in the Dallas market, because they're building right out here in McKinney, right off of 380 and Lake Forest, they're building new subdivisions. Those subdivisions are already being bought. The land and the plots are already being bought up.
Exactly.
So that's furthermore going into, and going into the the Chamber of Commerce in McKinney and hearing them talk about these different things. Those are some of the things they're talking about. Like, they're building these homes with people that already bought the houses. Like, this is crazy. This is a crazy time right now. I got a question for you.
Okay.
What would you, for the people that are in Texas, because this is the other part of that. Those people that you speak of that are coming in and paying over the listing price, they're coming from New York and California. Right. And they're selling the 1,900 square foot house for $5 million, coming to Texas and saying, what, this is $700,000? Here's $1.2 million.
There you go. Right? So that's exactly what happened.
How do the people here in Texas that don't have that income, how do they survive, or how do they become homeowners, or what should they be looking to do?
That's a great question. So first of all, that's exactly what happened during the pandemic, right? So you had people that had an 1,000 square foot apartment paying $4,000 a month in Chicago and in New York, and they had this tiny little plot of land in LA, and they're like, what am I doing?
This was their house.
Exactly. Exactly. Or they were renters, right? And they were just like, what am I doing? My company is now telling me I can work from anywhere.
Correct.
Right? And, one of the places that was just, continued to skyrocket, never had any depreciation or any slowdown was, where I grew up in Hilton Head Island, right? In South Carolina. It's a resort, so if you could go to work between 10 to 2 and then go play golf for the rest of the day.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Versus have to wear a mask and, navigate your way, and then, being afraid that you're going to run into contact with all the people in your apartment in Chicago and freeze. Like, no. No, thank you. No, thank you. So that's what happened. All these people, they fled New York and California, all these places.
The second exodus.
Exactly. And they saw Texas. And they saw it was flat, there was tons of room, and you could get a really nice home for not that much money. Correct. And they were looking at homes at $700,000, and all of a sudden the agent's like, well, no, now it's $750,000. I don't care. I just sold my home for $3 million. Right? I'll pay $100,000 over as long as I can get that deal.
And that's what was happening, right?
And that's what was happening. So you had
the manufactured inflated prices in the housing market that caused the people here to be able to. You're to a point to where you have a decision to make because you're looking at your house and I have a person that lives in my neighborhood. It's like, man, this has been one of the most interesting things that could ever happen, because when I bought this house, I paid $120,000. This house is worth $600,000.
Exactly.
So I got a decision to make, right?
Yep.
And the thing is, he's choosing to stay because where are you going to find another home?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And a couple years ago, you were able to use FHA, you were able to use conventional and meet the investor minimum, and you had some leverage where you were able to, have the seller pay for some of your title costs, and maybe they'll even give you a seller credit. That didn't exist in 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
There was zero. People were giving up all of their contingencies.
Okay.
So they didn't have an appraisal contingency. They didn't have an inspection contingency. They were buying homes sight unseen just to get in a home.
That part, I forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that out. Going on Zillow, trusting the eyes of cousins and family members.
No.
And they're like, yeah, we'll pay $1 million for it. Like, we're already packed up, ready to go. Like, this was, and now I'm going to tell you, one of your markets loved it. The real estate agents?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they loved it.
Oh, absolutely.
This was the time. This was the time. I had never seen so many people try to get their real estate license.
Oh yeah.
Like in 2020, 2019, and even in 21.
Yeah. And builders loved it too.
Yeah,
because they had wait lists.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm not going to name any specific ones, but some of them got a little greedy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Typically, historically, a lot of those builders, they relied on agents.
Yep.
To help them and market for them, and they would give them these commissions. They started slashing the commissions on agents.
Yeah,
and the agents, oh man, they lost a lot of relationships that way.
Because they were trying to get their what? Slice of
Texas.
Slice of Texas, man.
So what's happened in the builder market? I was at the pool yesterday on Labor Day, and there was one of our neighbors. He's a builder, and we were just talking about it. And what's happened now is you had all these people on wait lists.
Yep.
And then you had all these people under contract, but they were under contract when rates were at 3 and 4%.
Correct.
Now they've gone up to 6%. Now those same people have either said, no, I'm not going to pay $600 more for this.
Yep.
So they backed out, or they couldn't qualify anymore.
Yep.
And now you don't have a wait list anymore because they're all gone, because they all now have decided to rent because they've gotten out of it. But now you have empty homes that don't have contracts. So now builders are having to sell that same home with the appreciated value at a higher price point with the interest rates that are there now. So now they're giving seller credits. The most extreme so far I've heard is $20,000
wow.
as a credit to buy a new home. And you could not have, everybody wanted a home.
My mom just had that done. So my shout out to Jeremy Hills, my little brother. He's a big business tycoon, and he owns a Collective, which is a social networking gym out in Austin, Texas.
Nice.
Just bought mom a house.
That's awesome.
And seller credit was $20,000.
Yeah.
So she took that money, and that's the money that she's going to be. I think it was somewhere around there. But she took that money, and that's the money she's going to furnish the house with.
Yeah.
So like I know that to be true just based off of that one experience.
Yeah.
Right.